EnglishVibesHub. I'm Emma, and I'm super excited to be here today with Liam to talk about something really important for all of you looking to improve your English skills, especially in conversational contexts. Our topic for today is navigating common conversational idioms at work and in social situations. Liam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking, Emma. I think this topic is really going to help our viewers because, let's face it, idioms can be tricky. They're not just about understanding the words themselves, but also the context in which they're used. I've had my fair share of confusion with idioms, especially when I first started learning English.
Absolutely, Liam. Idioms are a crucial part of any language, and English is no exception. They add flavor to our conversations, but they can also be a barrier if you're not familiar with them. So, let's dive right in. One of the first idioms I'd like to discuss is break a leg. Now, this doesn't literally mean to break your leg, but rather it's a way of wishing someone good luck, especially before a performance or a challenging situation.
That's a great one, Emma. I remember when I first heard break a leg, I was really confused. But once I understood its meaning, it made so much sense. It's such a positive and supportive thing to say to someone. Another idiom that comes to mind, which is quite common in work environments, is bend over backwards. This means to go out of your way to help someone or to do something, often more than what's normally expected of you.
Exactly, Liam. Bend over backwards is a really useful idiom to know, especially in professional settings. It shows your willingness to accommodate and help others, which can be very appreciative. Let's consider another one: cost an arm and a leg. This idiom is used to describe something that is very expensive. For example, if a new gadget costs an arm and a leg, it means it's not affordable for most people.
I love that one, Emma. It's so vivid and easy to remember once you know what it means. And it's true, some things can be just too pricey. Another idiom that might be helpful is cut to the chase. This means to get to the point, or the most interesting part of a conversation, without wasting time on unnecessary details. It's often used in meetings or when discussing projects to keep things focused and efficient.
That's a great choice, Liam. Cut to the chase can really help in keeping conversations productive, especially in work environments where time is valuable. It's also interesting to note how these idioms can vary in their usage between formal and informal settings. For instance, you might use cut to the chase in a meeting, but break a leg would be more appropriate before a friend's performance.
Absolutely, the context really matters, and I think that's what makes learning idioms so fascinating. Each one has its own story and usage rules. Okay, so let's talk about how these idioms can be applied in real-life situations. For example, how would you use bend over backwards in a conversation at work?
Well, Liam, imagine you're working on a project, and a colleague asks for your help with something that's not directly related to your tasks. You could say, "I'd be happy to help you out. I'll bend over backwards to make sure this gets done on time." It shows that you're willing to go the extra mile for your team.
That's a perfect example, Emma. And what about cost an arm and a leg? How would you naturally fit that into a conversation, maybe in a social setting?
In a social setting, you might say, "I saw this amazing new watch, but it costs an arm and a leg, so I don't think I'll be buying it anytime soon." It's a casual way to express that something is too expensive for your budget.
I can totally relate to that, Emma. It's always disappointing when we find something we love but can't afford. Let's keep exploring more idioms and their applications. What do you think about beat around the bush? How does that fit into our conversation about navigating common conversational idioms?
Beat around the bush is another great one, Liam. It means to avoid talking directly or clearly about something, often because it's uncomfortable or difficult. For example, if someone is beating around the bush instead of giving you a straight answer, you might ask them to be more direct.
That's really helpful to know, Emma. Recognizing when someone is beating around the bush can save a lot of time and confusion. It's also a good idiom to be aware of in your own communication to make sure you're being clear and direct with others.
Exactly, Liam. Being aware of these idioms can significantly improve your communication skills. And speaking of improvement, let's discuss how learning and using idioms can enhance your overall English proficiency. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think learning idioms is one of the best ways to sound more natural and fluent in English. It's like adding a special spice to your language that makes it more engaging and interesting to listen to. Plus, understanding idioms can help you follow conversations more easily, even when they are about complex topics.
That's so true, Liam. And it's not just about understanding. Using idioms correctly can also make you feel more confident in your English skills. It's like you're unlocking a whole new level of expression and connection with others.
Confidence is key when it comes to language learning, and I think that's what we're aiming for with this episode, to help our viewers feel more confident in using these conversational idioms. Let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us.
I completely agree, Liam. This is just the beginning of our exploration into the world of conversational idioms. We have a lot more to discuss and learn, so let's keep the conversation flowing.
Sounds like a plan, Emma. And to our viewers, we'll be right back after this. We're just getting started, and there's a lot more to uncover about navigating common conversational idioms at work and in social situations. Welcome back to English Vibes Hub, everyone. I'm Liam, and I'm here with Emma. We're diving back into our conversation about navigating common conversational idioms at work and in social situations.
That's right, Liam. Before the break, we were discussing how idioms can be tricky to understand, especially for non-native speakers. I think it's time we shared some personal stories about times when we've had to navigate these idioms in real-life situations.
I've got a great story about that. So, I was at a meeting once, and my boss told me to think outside the box when it came to solving a particular problem. At first, I was confused because I literally thought he wanted me to think about something that was outside of a physical box.
That's hilarious, Liam. But it's a great example of how idioms can be misleading. Think outside the box actually means to think creatively and come up with unique solutions. It's not about physical locations at all.
Exactly, and it's amazing how often these idioms come up in everyday conversations. Another one that comes to mind is to touch base. Have you ever had someone ask you to touch base with them, Emma?
All the time, Liam. And at first, I thought it meant to physically touch someone's base, like in a game of tag or something. But of course, it actually means to get in touch with someone or to catch up with them briefly.
Right, and then there's to give someone the cold shoulder. This one's interesting because it can be quite confusing if you don't know what it means. Essentially, it means to deliberately ignore or show indifference to someone.
I've had my fair share of experiences with that idiom, Liam. One time, I was trying to talk to a friend who was clearly upset with me, but I had no idea what I'd done wrong. She gave me the cold shoulder the entire day, and it was really frustrating because I didn't know how to fix the situation.
That sounds tough, Emma, but it's a great example of how understanding idioms can really help you navigate social situations. Another idiom that's commonly used is to burn the midnight oil. This one means to work late into the night, often to meet a deadline.
I'm familiar with that one, Liam, and I think it's a great segue into our role play segment. Let's pretend that we're coworkers who are working on a project together, and we need to discuss our strategy for meeting the deadline.
Sounds like a plan, Emma. Okay, so let's get into character. We're sitting in a conference room and we're discussing our project. I'll start by saying, I think we need to pull out all the stops if we're going to meet this deadline. What's your response?
I agree, Liam, but I think we should also make sure we're not reinventing the wheel. Have we considered using some of the existing templates or frameworks that the company has provided?
That's a great point, Emma, and I think it's time for us to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Let's not get too bogged down in the details just yet. We can always drill down into the specifics later.
I like that approach, Liam, and I think it's also important for us to be on the same page. Have we discussed the project's objectives with the rest of the team yet?
Not yet, but that's a good reminder. We should touch base with them soon and make sure everyone is clear on what needs to be done. Okay, so let's summarize our plan of action so far.
Right, so we're going to use existing templates, focus on the bigger picture, and make sure the team is on the same page. I think that's a solid strategy, Liam.
I agree, Emma, and I think we're making good progress. But we should also be prepared to think on our feet and adapt to any changes that come up. After all, we don't want to be caught off guard and have to scramble to catch up.
Absolutely, Liam. And speaking of changes, have you heard anything about the company's plans for the upcoming quarter? I've heard rumors that there might be some significant shifts in our department.
Actually, I did hear something about that, Emma, but I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to share just yet. Let's just say that it's going to be an interesting few months ahead, and we should be prepared to roll with the punches.
Well, I'm intrigued, Liam. and I think we'll have to discuss this further when we have more information. But for now, let's focus on our project and make sure we're meeting our deadlines.
Sounds like a plan, Emma, and I think we're making good progress so far. Let's keep the momentum going and see where it takes us.
I'm excited to see how everything unfolds, Liam. And I think our viewers will be too. We'll have to continue this conversation in our next segment and see what other idioms we can explore.
Definitely, Emma, and I think we're just getting started on this topic. There are so many more idioms and phrasal verbs to discuss, and I'm looking forward to diving deeper into them with you.
Me too, Liam. It's always fun to explore the nuances of language and see how they can help us communicate more effectively. Okay, so let's take a quick pause, and then we'll be back with more on navigating common conversational idioms at work and in social situations. Welcome back to English Vibes Hub, everyone. I'm Emma, and I'm here with Liam. We're discussing navigating common conversational idioms at work and in social situations. Before we dive back in, I just want to recap some of the key points we've covered so far.
That's a great idea, Emma. We've talked about a range of idioms, from break a leg to bend over backwards. It's been really helpful to explore how these phrases can help us communicate more effectively in different contexts.
Exactly, and now let's look at a few more. Liam, can you tell us about the phrasal verb pick up? How does it work in conversation?
Sure thing, Emma. Pick up can have a few different meanings, but in a conversational context, it often means to start doing something again after stopping, or to learn something quickly. For example, I picked up French really quickly when I lived in Paris.
That's a great example, Liam. Another idiom that's useful to know is put off. This can mean to delay or postpone something, but it can also mean to discourage or frighten someone. For instance, the bad weather put me off going to the beach.
I see what you mean, Emma. It's interesting how put off can have different meanings depending on the situation. And what about turn down? How does that work in conversation?
Turn down is a great one, Liam. It can mean to reduce the volume of something, like can you turn down the music? But it can also mean to reject an offer or invitation, like I turned down the job offer because it wasn't the right fit for me.
That's really helpful to know, Emma. I think it's also worth mentioning the idiom get on with. This can mean to continue doing something or to have a good relationship with someone. For example, I get on really well with my colleagues.
I love that one, Liam. Get on with is such a versatile idiom, and it's really useful for building relationships and navigating social situations. Okay, so let's summarize some of the key takeaways from our conversation today.
Sounds like a plan, Emma. I think we've covered some really valuable idioms and phrasal verbs that can help our listeners communicate more effectively in different contexts. From pick up to get on with, there are so many useful phrases to explore.
Absolutely, Liam. And I think it's also important to remember that practice is key when it comes to using these idioms and phrasal verbs in conversation. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
That's so true, Emma. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's all part of the learning process. Just keep practicing, and you'll be navigating conversational idioms like a pro in no time.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of English Vibes Hub, and we hope you've learned some useful idioms and phrasal verbs to help you communicate more effectively.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel at English Vibes Hub S6W for more episodes on English language and conversation. We'll see you in the next one.